Hey everyone, this is Donald the Repentless with more Repentless discussions. Today I want to talk briefly about the flat earthers. Um, this isn't really a debunking sort of video. It's more or less just some thoughts about the ideal of the earth being flat. The reason I'm talking about this is I have one regular commenter who is continuously promoting the ideal that the earth is flat. Even most, she's a Christian, obviously, but most Christians these days accept that the earth is a sphere, or roughly spherical. In fact, they would say that people like Sable Chicken are misinterpreting the Bible, even though that has been the interpretation of the Bible for the majority of not only Judaism, but Christianity. And their interpretation they have to read into the text the ideal of a spherical earth, which is one of the problems that I have with the Bible, because it does describe the earth as a flat disk. Those who believe that the earth is flat are honestly interpreting the Bible the way it traditionally was interpreted for most of Christianity. The problem I have with that ideal, and like I said, I'm not trying to debunk anything. I think plenty of people have done a way better job than I could ever do in debunking the whole ideal of the flat Earth theory. And you know, and even early philosophers and scientists, before it became readily accepted, tried to show that the Earth is a sphere. They were either persecuted or jailed or whatever until they, quote unquote, repented of their false view. But, like I said, the main problem I have with people who believe that the earth is flat is that they have to deny reality. One of the points that Table Team brought up was, I don't feel the earth spin. There are times when I'm riding a car where I don't actually feel the move of the car. Doesn't mean that the car isn't moving. And all the evidence, well, it's not even evidence, it's claims that all the photos from space, all the um, telescopes pointed at like planets and taking time-lapse photo over a series of days that show the rotation of a planet are all fabricated or photoshopped, which is funny because a lot of these pictures were taken before the photoshopping software was even created, and yet it's all made up, it's all fabricated. They believe that the moon landing was filmed on a soundstage, which is kind of sad. I think the statistic was that 25% of Americans at one time believed, it was a fairly recent survey, believed that the moon landings were faked and filmed on a soundstage, even though a number of people, the Mythbusters and a lot of other people, have looked at the specific claims of people who say that the moon landings were faked and have shown that the moon landing actually happened. They take a very, very simplistic view of the issue of the shape of the earth. They say, well, you look in front of you, everything looks flat, therefore it's flat. And make ridiculous claims about planes being upside down in Australia when on a sphere, all the gravity is toward the middle. And that's been pointed out by many people who have done a lot more research on this than I have. And even in the simple research that I have done, it is obvious that the earth is a sphere and not a flat disk. Not a round flat disk like the Bible describes, and these people believe. And yet they still insist on their conspiracy theories and their simplistic observations to say that the entire scientific establishment, entire scientific community are in some kind of conspiracy to keep the truth from being known, which is ridiculous. I'm not exactly one who buys most conspiracy theories, but the flat earth theory is probably the most ridiculous. Even more ridiculous than the JFK conspiracies. Some conspiracy theories have turned out to be true, but the flat earth is not one of them. Scientists making up stuff about the distances from planets, it's been confirmed. You know, there are different methods, at least two that I've read about, that are used to measure the distances between the Earth and distant stars, and they confirm each other, or they cross-confirm each other. She challenged me to provide the mountain of evidence. Well, it's out there. So it's in books. It's in their library. Just go read it. It's on the web. There are plenty of videos on YouTube. There's plenty of websites that debunk the whole flat Earth theory. If she can't be bothered to look at those, but then again, she has this firm belief in a flat Earth. So no matter what kind of evidence you could provide her with, would not convince her of the truth. She would probably accuse me of the same thing, but I've actually tried to look at the evidence, and the evidence that falls on her side is not really evidence. It's conspiracy theories, conjecture, and just an outdated way of thinking. Now, it was perfectly alright for, like, the ancient Israelites to think that way because they didn't have the methodology that would be later developed as science. They didn't have the satellites, the spaceships, and that kind of thing that could demonstrate that the Earth is round, spherical, because the Bible describes the Earth as round, but they're not talking about a sphere, they're talking about a flat, round disc with a dome on it, which in no way conforms to reality. But anyways, I was trying to make this video 10 minutes, but I'm basically out of things to say. Maybe one day I'll do more research on the topic of flat Earth and join the myriad of people who make videos debunking the flat Earth. Just sort of, I'm going to go off on a tangent here because, well, it's my channel and I can do that. There's a number of things that I want to make videos about. One is more like a series where I talk about the concept of God, not any one particular God, but the whole ideal of God and how it relates to humanity. And when I say humanity, I'm not just talking about the species Homo sapiens sapiens, but also like Neanderthals and so forth, and how the ideal of God kind of makes sense in the lack of scientific understanding. But one of the things I have to do is learn how to properly research and put together information in a comprehensible manner and a systematic manner. Because, for example, the ideal of God, where does one begin? You know, there's no information. You know, there's some suggestions in the archaeological record that Neanderthals, for example, had some sort of religion and perhaps some sort of God concept. We talk about the language, talk about, there's so many different things that could be talked about when it comes to God. And the ideal of God, you know, not that I believe in a God, I don't believe in a God, but there have been gods ever since man started imagining and looking out into their world and trying to figure out how things work and how and why they work the way they do. And God was probably the first answer that men came up with. But anyways, that's about it for this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. Please leave your comments below. And share this on social media. And don't forget to subscribe for more Repentless content. This is Donald the Repentless, signing off.